York, New York. A place that, if you've played just about any video game in the last 2 decades, chances are you'll know your way around. You got Grand Theft Auto, The Division, Spider-Man, the World War III missions from the Modern Warfare trilogy, the 50 Cent game, each in their own ways trying to respect the city in which they're set, by trying to match the aesthetic and specific vibe the best way that they can. Whether that's building massive skyscrapers and skylines to admire, recreating the hustle and bustle of the streets below, or nuking the shit out of it to match the vibe that I feel every time that I have to go there myself. And with the recent release of Battlefield 6 officially taking its iconic all-out war onto US soil for the first time, unless you count that Cops and Robbers spin-off that literally only I liked, we can see the newest AAA take on NYC through the maps Empire State and Manhattan Bridge, both taking place in Brooklyn, actually right down the block from each other, which seems like they could have just combined them at that point to make one regular-sized Battlefield map, but you know what? That's neither here nor there. Whatever. Now, I've always had a certain soft spot on my head for maps taking place in New York as a former New Yorker myself. In fact, on the Battlefield map, you can actually see the neighborhood that I grew up in if you look just off the east and then pull up Google Maps on your phone and zoom way the fuck out to about 40 miles onto Long Island, aka not the fucking city, but it's iconic. You know, people travel far and wide to get a taste of its rich culture and pre-chewed gum. So today, I wanted to look at exactly how authentic Battlefield 6's newest take on the city that never sleeps really is. So first of all, we gotta talk about the atmosphere, which gets an A+ from me. From the decaying brick making you feel like you're rotting alongside the city itself, to the constant construction and piles of trash adding to the quaint, get the fuck out vibe. It really does remind me of home, where there's always a deli or a pizza place on every corner, and I can never find a good parking spot. I also really appreciate all the small details here, like these working boomboxes scattered around that play different music, whether it's at a basketball court or a fire station or a restaurant, further representing exactly what New York stands for. People of all different walks of life coming together to work on the same team, on the same project that doesn't have any real clear description other than it's gotta get done in the next few weeks. Oh, and they even have authentic hot dog carts with the explosive canister attached. Just like back home. Now, one thing that I always look for when trying to determine accuracy with these maps is how closely the small things like license plates match up to the real life counterpart. And as you can see, the plates here actually get pretty close, with them matching the colors pretty perfectly. They just have the big Excelsior tag missing, which, to be honest, I'll give them a pass. That part's kind of cringe anyway. I miss just the skyline of the Statue of Liberty. I'm sorry, that part of the video is only for people who've lived in New York before. Fuck our license plates, dude. Then the wrap on the police cars are actually also pretty accurate, aside from swapping NYPD to PDNY, as if it's a brand that they needed to scramble to get around some copyright laws, like Lay's becoming Walls or using Cola Pop instead of Pepsi Cola, which is the superior cola, might I add, and whose company is not only headquartered in New York, but is even bottled within New York City. So, that's a fun fact for you. What is interesting, though, is that they were able to keep the same police slogan of courtesy, professionalism, and respect, which is a little bit odd to me, considering that a more accurate slogan, given my experience, would be still giving you a fucking ticket, even though literally no one in the entire state fully stops at stop signs. asshole. Now, as far as businesses go, both New York maps actually have a pretty wide variety of shops and restaurants to patronize, like all those aforementioned delis, pizza places, coffee shops, and dry cleaners. In addition, though, there are actually a striking amount of unlabeled restaurants that don't have any kind of signage out front, which is a little weird, but maybe they are like speakeasies or like actual holes in the wall, I guess. And real quick, if I were to ask you what you thought was inside of a store called Small Globe Guides, what would you guess? Because unless it was nothing but dog food, pasta, and cake mix, you would be so very wrong. There's not even a place to check out in here. It's literally just a room of inventory. Although the realism is kind of hit or miss here, because right across the street from that North Korea-esque charade is an auto shop that mostly checks the accurate box, at least for me, complete with a random stack of tires in the waiting room so that you can really smell the rubber before you decide to buy. Then there's a couple of offices around here too. I mean, it is New York after all. For instance, here we have Kirk and Paul Associates, which I can't quite figure out what they do based off of the office, other than it's definitely not interior design or IT. They're right down the street, though, from Oscar's Pizza, which looks just about like any pizza place that you'd walk into on the street, with gross cold pies sitting out and a pizza oven in the back for them to be nuked in. And that's clearly the go-to spot, because then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got Foriella's Pizzeria and Pasta just one block over, which is just a sad, desolate-looking eatery with empty counters and not even a single tomato inside. But then further uptown, things start to get a little weird, as you'll find even more bars and restaurants without any signage out front, and a bunch of signage up front with no restaurants or bars behind them. Like, I really needed a caffeine fix, right? So when I saw the sign for dark brew coffee, I jumped on it and ran inside, only to find myself in the middle of this random guy's apartment. Which, by the way, while I'm here, I'm just gonna rip into this dude's house real quick, if you don't mind. Because first of all, it is massive for being in the heart of Brooklyn. And what does he do with all of that extra square footage? Nothing. He does absolutely nothing. The living room is pushed all the way to one side of the room, with nothing to fill that empty space. His kitchen is borderline unusable, with a fridge that doesn't have a freezer. The upstairs has a chair in front of what I assume is the guest bathroom. The bedroom has no closet or storage space whatsoever. And just look at this fucking master bath, dude. No shower curtain. Free-floating toilet, misaligned washing machine with no dryer, painting covering the light switch, and no TP. Absolute psycho behavior. Now, it's at this point that I wanted to do a little bit of research and figure out just how much someone would pay for an apartment like that guy. But first, to do that, I needed to figure out exactly where in the city we actually were. But that proved to be a little bit tricky. See, in other games that I've successfully sourced down to the exact block, I'm usually able to find street signs or highway numbers somewhere, even if they just kind of get me in the general direction, you know, even if it's not exact. But checking on both Manhattan Bridge and Empire State, right, both maps, it appears that the devs just completely scrubbed all street signs from the premises. It's like they didn't want to dox Oscar the Grouch over here. So that's when, like a kid lost in the mall, I went to look at this sidewalk map. But unfortunately, it's missing the little "you are here" icon, making it pretty much useless. Also, what is a Barag bicycle? And then it hit me. I'm a fucking dumbass. Manhattan Bridge, Brooklyn Bridge. Manhattan Bridge, Brooklyn Bridge. It was right in front of me, literally the entire fucking time. But now that we had a literal map of the block in game, I then wanted to directly compare that to the real map of New York. And there's really no point in bearing the lead any further here. It's just a straight up copy paste job of New York. It matches up pretty perfectly. See, the two maps combine at the seams to form the full neighborhood of Dumbo, Brooklyn. And I know that it's a little subtle, but I'm hoping that maybe now that you know about this, you may start noticing some of the small, subtle little signs that they hit around, like little Easter eggs, you know? Only top 1% of Battlefield players will get this. And in this case, the word Dumbo, in addition to being a mean name that my mother would call me growing up, is also an acronym standing for Down Under the Manhattan Bridge Overpass. That's real, by the way. That's an actual, like, I feel like sometimes you guys don't fully know when I'm joking or being sincere anymore, and that's my fault. But just as like a little rule of thumb, if I was going to make a joke like that, it would be something like funny, like dicks under my butt. Oh. See, it would be some remarkable comedy like that. But it actually goes a lot deeper than just some of the roads matching up. In fact, a lot of the actual layout of the map matches up pretty one-to-one to the actual neighborhood, like the Main Street Park located right under the bridge itself, across from the big Dumbo sign that at the time of Google's most recent Street View was under construction, but I've been assured that since it has been erected. Then you have the Dumbo Archway just a bit further inland, which according to local guide Angela is cute, and there are events that are out on here sometimes. Then there's the Dumbo House, which in-game you're unfortunately not allowed to go inside of, but I'm just going to assume that in real life this is where they keep the elephants. And swapping over to the Empire State map now, this one actually really mixes things up by putting you under the other bridge that's down the block. See, you can tell they are two distinctly different maps. And this one takes a lot more liberties with how things are really laid out. For instance, that big arts building that takes up a good 70% of the map's focus is based off of a real-life one, which I believe is just called Panorama Brooklyn. However, they did opt to just bulldoze the hotel that's really located across the street to give it a nice riverfront view. And so I think that then, by extension, that makes this park back here the Hillside Dog Park. In this highway, oh, damn it! Now I find some road signs. And actually, if you pop into Street View at that park, you can see clear as day exit 28A for Cadman Plaza West right there, just above the exit for Atlantic Avenue 2, making this highway 278, which I happen to drive through at least once every other Christmas, which means that I can officially confirm through my own first-hand experience that this map truly is set in New York City. You're welcome, everybody. And that's about where I'll call this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and comment and hype the video up too. Apparently that's a new thing that YouTube does. It really helps out, I think. Anyway, channel members are listed everywhere all around me. If you want to become a channel member, hit that join button down below. And I will see you guys in the next one, where I will be seeing what kind of rainstorm could have possibly caused Rainbow Road. Bye!